Good evening, Karina Carvalho with ABC News. Australia's economy has come to a screaming halt with the latest growth figures going backwards. The nation's gross domestic product shrank by 0.5% in the September quarter. That's its worst performance since the global financial crisis in 2008 and its first decline since March 2011 after the Queensland floods. The result dragged the annual growth rate down to just 1.8%, well below expectations. Political editor Chris Uhlmann begins our coverage.
The Treasurer confronts an ugly set of numbers.
In the December quarter, real GDP contracted by 0.5%.
Australia's economy shrank in the 3 months to the end of September.
This is the growth that supports our jobs, our incomes, our wages.
In a quarter of a century, gross domestic product has only dipped into the red 3 other times. After the GST was introduced, during the financial crisis,
we're now down 43%.
and in the wake of Cyclone Yasi.
It all comes back to growth.
The lack of it is a big problem for a government that campaigned on economic stewardship.
We can never take our growth for granted in this country, ever.
The numbers present a large target for the opposition.
This is the second worst economic growth result in the last 25 years.
The Treasurer has pinpointed the problem.
It is the decline in new business investment of 3.2% that was the dominant cause for the contraction in real GDP in the September quarter.
Labor thinks the problem's the Treasurer.
Scott Morrison must take responsibility.
Scott Morrison's solution is for the Senate to back a business tax cut the government's yet to present to the upper house.
We need the consensus of a parliament that's going to work in the national interest to drive jobs and growth.
They don't have a plan, they've got a slogan. And all they're focused on is themselves, their own jobs and their own division.
If these numbers are repeated in March, then the government would face the agony of presiding over a recession. Slow growth also cuts tax receipts, blowing out the promised return to surplus. And that revenue hit will have to be accounted for in the mid-year budget review, to be delivered just days before Christmas.
The revenue that is needed to support our schools and our hospitals, to support Medicare,
and support the coalition in government. Chris Uhlmann, ABC News, Canberra.